So we are going to be talking about evaluating and integrating EdTech today. And really that means we're going to be talking about how to choose tools and save time to support instruction. So you can find all of our resources that are shared today at this link. We're going to talk about lots of places where you can research tools and find tools and evaluate them, and then how to use Writable as well with your LMS or Google Classroom. So you can also sign up for future professional development events at writable.com/academy, where we have tons and tons of professional learning. And we have another Meet Writable series next Friday that you can also join. If you'd like to meet with us, you can find us at this link or just email hello@writable.com. I am Tess. I am a former ELA teacher, and I've been working in EdTech for a while now. I'm super passionate about helping teachers and schools use products that they genuinely need, and that can increase learning for all students. And Derek, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Derek. So I've worked in EdTech for almost 20 years, and as a member of the school partnerships team, I work with schools and districts every single day on bringing Writable on board.
Yeah, so we're super familiar with where school leaders are having issues, the daily grind for teachers. So if you ever have questions about perhaps how other schools are using Writable or what other solutions schools use to find success, we're always available to chat with you. So today we're going to be talking about 5 different things: the importance of integrative tools, taking inventory of the EdTech you're already using, how to evaluate EdTech, both what you're using and future tools, saving time with Google tools because they are the most commonly used suite of tools by educators, and then we're going to look at some LMS integration in action. So the importance of integrative tools. I think the first thing to talk about is what does integrative mean, Derek?
Yeah, so as far as integrative goes, some of the things that these might be is your textbooks or curriculum that you're already using. And we, as Writable team, we consider ourselves curriculum agnostic, so we can really adapt to whatever you're using, as well as organizing. So rostering, grading tools like Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, whatever you're using. And then also your students are logging in and accessing on different apps like Google Classroom, Schoology, Canvas, Clever, and other additional tools as well.
Right. So if the tools that you choose, especially the supplemental tools, don't integrate in some way with these essential curriculum organization tools, it means they're probably not very integrative. And so it's important to use your very clever eye and make sure that you are choosing tools that integrate because they're very helpful. So why are we going to choose integrative tools? Well, for one thing, they save teachers time on their prep and grading. They save schools money because they reduce the amount of tools that you have to purchase. They create less to learn for both the educators and the students, which means less time on training, less time on support for teachers, less time for teachers supporting their students with tech issues. And this overall really increases the likelihood of usage and the adoption of the product by educators. It also means that it's easier to implement in a school or district at scale. It naturally gives school leaders greater visibility into important data and insights that the tools provide because it's talking with your organizational tools. It increases accessibility for all students, and it also increases data security because you know that these organizational tools have really hefty data security. You know Google is keeping your data secure, and so when tools are integrating with your organizational tools and your essential curriculum tools, they're having to comply to that same level of data security. So the first thing that I think everybody should do, whether you are a school leader, whether you are a teacher, and this is especially important while we're teaching online and using a lot of tech tools in our daily lives, is to take inventory of what you're using. What is your stack? So before you evaluate an EdTech tool, you need to know what you're using right now, and you also need to know what features you may need that you don't have. So let's talk about why we're going to take inventory. We want to make sure that we're choosing tools that are integrative. We want to make sure that the tools that we're using are comprehensive, so they can minimize the amount of tools. That really means, is it features? Is it curriculum too? Does it have multifunctional features? And can it give you access to features and functions and content that you need most? So how are we going to take inventory, Derek?
Yeah, so as far as how to take inventory goes, first of all, you're going to want to make a list of the tools you're using right now, whether, especially in the time, whether it's a free resource, paid resource, or it's a district resource or school level resource. What are you using, and, kind of who's on board with that resource as well.
Yeah.
And then also list the features that you're using with these tools. So, like Writable, for example, we have a lot of different features in the tool, but maybe somebody's not using revision aid, or they're not using originality check, and kind of maybe there's some duplicates at the district level as well. And then
Right.
also listing the features that you'd like to have within Writable or other resources that you don't, currently have as well.
Right. So when we talk about how to evaluate EdTech, we're going to use that list. And let's take Writable as an example of a tool that you discovered while you were researching, and see how it might be able to provide either some additional features or curriculum or functionality, or help you reduce the amount of tools you use. Reducing the amount of tools you use is always really helpful for making everyday instruction simpler, and for really increasing usage and spending more time actually teaching rather than spending time learning a tool. So let's look at this example inventory list. Would be a really standard teacher's list. We might have a video creation tool where students make and record videos. We might have a tool where teachers and students use and annotate their PDFs. We might have a feedback tool where teachers give video and audio feedback or written feedback to their students. We might have a word processing tool like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, where students are writing their essays. We might have a learning management tool like Schoology or Canvas or Google Classroom, where teachers are doing their grading, rostering, assigning, and tracking progress. And then we might have a textbook or curriculum, which is also a tool. So while I am searching and researching, I also made a list of what I don't have. So maybe I want to find a way to grade faster. And maybe I want to also find a way to track student writing growth, because the tools that I'm using aren't really giving me the kind of data and insight I'm looking for. Um, Maybe I realize that while my curriculum is really helpful, there are gaps, which is what happens in most curriculums. So most textbooks aren't supporting how to practice for state assessments. They don't have college preparation assignments in them. They don't always have differentiated assignments, so different levels of assignments for different learners. And they also don't always have current events in them. So what if we want our students to be learning about the election or the Supreme Court or climate change? You might not have these in your curriculum right now. And then I also want the ability to use state or custom rubrics with my assignments, because I'm looking to measure standards and unify instruction. So now that I know what I have and I know what I'm looking for, let's see what happens when I found Writable. What would I be able to do, Derek?
Yeah, so some of the things you can do is, get rid of those duplicate resources. We all use, especially in schools right now, um, there's so many duplicate resources sometimes, and you can really move towards one specific resource. You might be able to get rid of video creation, video feedback, and incorporate that into Writable, as
Mhm.
well as, syncing those grades, rosters, assignments. To your LMS, whether it be Schoology, Canvas, Google Classroom, whatever it may be. And then also embedding that word processing tool into the specific assignments that you're using already as well.
Hmm. Yeah. And then I would also find that I could track student writing growth, which I wasn't able to do with my tools before. Maybe I was able to track grades in my org on my learning management system, but wasn't really able to drill down into skills and standards. Um, I also would find additional assignments and curriculum that was missing from my textbook. Or if I was using an HMH textbook, I might already find it inside of Writable to save myself time in creating assignments. And I'd also find the ability to use state rubrics or upload custom district rubrics or even create custom rubrics to help unify instruction. So maybe as the English teacher, I was going to create rubrics and then share them out across disciplines so that all teachers, no matter what they were teaching to the same standards when we were talking about writing.
Yeah, and Tess, that's one thing that I hear from schools every single day is they want to do an on the fly type assignment and they just don't they maybe don't exactly have a checklist for something, but they want to incorporate content. So they go out to the web and search for an article. They can paste that article into Writable, have our existing checklist, and it's really an on the fly assignment that's done in 5 minutes.
That's true. We do have a really great wizard that allows you to create a really pedagogically sound assignment in a really short period of time. Not all teachers are trained on writing, so not all teachers know how to make a great rubric. Not all teachers know how to make a great writing assignment, and so we're there to help not just the students, but also the teachers with their teaching. So by implementing Writable, I would find I was able to replace 3 of those tools on my list and replace it with one more comprehensive tool, which would have been Writable. I would have found I was able to integrate 2 or 3 of my essential tools into Writable. So I would have checked that integrative box. So that was my curriculum, my LMS, and my word processing. And then I also would have gained those features and functionality and curriculum that was on my wish list. And so whether you're talking about Writable or another EdTech tool, I think these are really how you would want to see results during your research process and in making your lists. This is sort of an example of what success would look like if you found a tool that you wanted to try. So, what are some more questions that you might want to ask when you are evaluating tools? I put together a list of the questions that experts are asking themselves when they're actually doing those professional reviews of EdTech tools. So, what do you think that they ask, and what should school leaders and educators be asking themselves when looking at a tool?
Yeah. So, does the tool integrate with my essential organization curriculum tools?
Mhm.
Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology, whatever it may be. Also, can is this something we can roll out district wide at scale? So, can we roll it out really quickly? Because especially in these times, teachers just don't have a lot of time to learn something new. So we really want to look at rolling it out fast as possible and make it easy as can be for the teachers as well. And then also, does that tool combine with other essential features that you need in the school? Is the tool comprehensive? So can we have that both integrate, on a teacher level as well as a curriculum level? And then also, does the tool allow me to customize my instruction? So we know there's a lot of things that are rolled out either district wide or school wide, but also can that teacher really make it their own and roll that out to students on an individual basis?
Yeah, and then I've got some additional ones too. These are a lot of questions that are good to ask yourself. You don't have obviously have to ask them all, um, but they are helpful. So we're looking to look at, does it provide data and insights that let me know if it's actually helping improve student learning? You don't want to use tools that aren't actually helping your instruction. And it's important the tool not only helps, but tells you that it's helping and also tells you if it's not. Is it accessible to every student that you're teaching? Does it include resources that help students with accommodations and English learners? Does it reach those lower elementary students if you're teaching lower elementary? Does the tool keep your student data private? Will the tool work in every device that your students use? Will it work on every web browser that your students are using? Is it affordable? And that's a really big one. is comparing if it's an affordable tool, especially when it's a comprehensive tool. Some of those tools can be really expensive. And we know that schools spend a lot of money on their LMS and organization tools. And so when you talk about a supplemental tool, you want to make sure that it fits in your budget. And then also, and this is an important one that I'm not sure is thought about a lot when researching is the EdTech company and is the tool going to provide personalized professional learning and support to you after you purchase, once you begin using, or are you on your own? Because that's one of the big things that makes usage useful, right?
Yeah. And, Tess, working with schools and districts day in, day out, is it affordable is the number one question. And a lot of times there's great things out there, but they need to be rolled out on either a school-wide or district-wide basis. And we really try to make it scalable. So teachers that are interested in Writable can really scale out with their even 10 to 20 students, and then they can roll it up to the school level and the district level. So we really try to make it approachable, from a teacher level all the way up to a district level.
One of the things that I'm most proud about in working at Writable is that we do really focus on making it accessible to every teacher or parent or school that wants to use it. So not only is it the most affordable tool with all these features out there, it also doesn't have minimums. So you can be a parent or a teacher and just purchase one license. We also have a really long trial period if you do want to try it out. So we're super focused on how to make it usable and successful, not just sitting here trying to make money off of you, which, you know, some of them are, and you would find that out in research. So where are we going to look for research? I love Common Sense Education. It is one of my favorite places to research tools. I also love looking at education awards, and this might not be a familiar one to look for school leaders or teachers. Cody is sort of the gold standard. We're really proud that this year we won Best Instructional Reading, Writing, and Literacy Solution at Cody. Tech and Learning is another really great one. Conferences, and you might think, oh, well, I can't go to a conference, or it's not affordable for me to travel to a conference. But luckily, one of the silver linings of what's happening right now is conferences are online. ISTE is great. ASTD is a wonderful conference, and you can really connect with those tools and learn more about them and how teachers are using them successfully in those at those conferences. So app stores, so your Chromebook Hub, your Schoology App Center, those are also going to define if a tool is integrative as if it's included in those. And then education blogs. So are you reading Cult of Pedagogy? Are you reading Edutopia? Are you reading EdSurge? All of these are places where you're going to find and discover really great tools that you can start using. So why would we focus first on Google is a great question. Derek, how many of the schools that you talk to use Google tools of some?
So I would say that probably 9 out of 10 that we work with are using Google or Google Classroom or Google Docs. So it's incorporated in some, in the majority of schools that we work with.
Right. So one of the red herrings of a tool that wouldn't be integrative is if it didn't integrate with Google. So the way that teachers commonly use Google, they use Google Classroom, they're using Gmail for both their login and communicating with students, they're using Google Docs and Sheets, they're saving things to Google Drive. As an example of how a tool should integrate, we're going to look at Writable. And I think it's also important that you compare this list to other tools for their Google integration, because not all tools who are integrative are created equal. So some only may allow you to roster in Google Classroom, but you can't actually assign to the Google Classroom. Some may not sync grades back and forth, which makes you have to input your grades. So in Writable, teachers and students can log in with their Google account. Grades, rosters, and assignments are all syncing with Google Classroom. Your co-teachers sync with Google Classroom and Writable as well, so they can help assign, grade, and give feedback in Writable. You can assign directly to the classroom stream, and this means students can log in by clicking on their assignments from Classroom. They don't even have to go to writable.com to log in. Google Docs can be embedded in Writable assignments. So if your students are already used to using Google Docs, this isn't going to be a new tool. It's just going to be a more comprehensive way to assign built along inside of where they're already writing. Everything is going to save to Google Drive, so that helps you with your portfolio management. And then reports on student writing and growth can be exported to Sheets or CSV or PDF for easy sharing with school leaders or with colleagues or with families. So this is how we think it's really important to integrate with Google. So, you know, always great to make a list like this with tools that you're using or looking at. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna actually, yeah.
So Tesla's probably going to pop over to the interface, but that's one thing I hear so often is it's so easy to integrate with what you're already using. So there's no separate account management needed as far as even teachers or students go. Just logging in with that simple username password that the students and teachers are already familiar with.
Right. So you see when I'm here at Writable, I am going to log in as a teacher. I could log in with Google, Microsoft, or Schoology. I'm going to choose Google right now, and I'm just going to log right in. And I'm actually going to go over to my classes. And you can see I've got some classes in here already synced with Google. But it's so easy to sync a class. You literally just click import Google Classes. I see I've got a class right here, and I click import. And it's as fast and as simple as that. And now I can assign directly to that class into the classroom stream. So I'm just going to go over to Explore. And I am really curious about teaching the election right now today. So I'm going to open up our election assignments. You can see we have some really great ones here. We also have a KQED challenge going on, which is really exciting. Our partnership with KQED means that students can complete the challenge in Writable and send it over to KQED, and it actually can possibly appear on your local PBS or NPR station. So I'm going to open up the assignment. You can just look at what an assignment looks like. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm just going to take this as is. I'm going to save it to my assignments. I'm going to go right in and I'm going to assign it to that 8th grade journalism class that I chose right here. So I'm going to just make sure I select my grade because I must have not selected that in Google. I'm going to go back to my assignments and I'm going to click assign, grade journalism. And then you see I have some options here. And one of those options is a Google Doc. So I'm going to say, let's write in a Google Doc, and I'm going to assign self-review. I'm also going to assign peer review so that peers review each other's writing. I'm not going to add revision aid right now, but I could add revision aid, which is our AI-powered feedback and revision recommendations. I could add Turnitin, which is our originality check. And I'm also going to click here, add to the Google Classroom stream. So I'm going to just assign that. It's really that fast. And then I'm going to go over as a student.
Yeah, and one thing that I always talk about with classrooms especially is you can change those options up every time.
Yeah.
So, this assignment, if you want to assign self-review and peer review, next assignment, if you want to do only teacher review, you can really change that up every time.
Yeah, I can even edit my settings live. So even though I've just assigned it, I could add originality check right now if I wanted to. And there we go. We've added originality check. I could also just go edit the assignment, right? So if I wanted to say add audio or video instruction, I could say, click right here and say, hey everyone, I'm really excited that you can participate in this assignment. Let's see if we can send some really great videos over to KQED. I'm going to save my recording. And now all of my students are going to be able to access the recording while they're doing the assignment. And even if I'm not in class with them in person, I'm getting to communicate with them. So I'm going to go right over here. And I'm going to refresh my 8th grade journalism classroom stream. And there is the assignment right there. I'm going to click it. I'm going to go right into it. And I'm in my assignment. And when I click right, so you're going to see that I've got the assignment right here. This is a student view. You can see that video I just did. I've got a sample organizer right here. I've got a graphic organizer. And when I click draft, you can see this is a Google Doc, and I can write in it here. I can enlarge it so it's a full screen. I can toggle back and forth between my checklist and my reading. And it's just about as simple as that. And so that's how we integrate with Google. I'm gonna pop back over here because I also want to show how you would do reporting with Google Sheets. So I'm gonna log out and log right in here, and I'm gonna create a report. So let's say I want to do a fall to winter report. And then I want to export it. You can see it actually, I'm in a non-Google connected account, but if I was in a Google account, it would say export to Sheets right there. This says export to CSV and PDF. And so I can just click export to CSV. And it would look like this in Google Sheets as well. And so you've got these reports that you can either dynamically go through in the app, or you can download and send and share. And they're also great to use in parent-teacher conferences. I know those are on the cusp of a lot of teachers' minds right now. So those are really helpful for that. So I'm gonna look at LMS integration now. So in addition to Google Classroom and Google Tools, we also hear a lot of folks are using either LMSs on top of their Google tools or in place of Google tools. So how should integration look if you're using an LMS, Derek?
Yeah, so as far as the LMSs go, you can sync those rosters. Yeah, the grades talk back and forth with Writable to Schoology or Canvas, for example. And then assignments are the students can view as well as the teachers both inside of Writable or the LMS you're using, such as Schoology. And then students can also log in. So a lot of that setup process is taken care of as well.
Are all LMS integrations created equal?
No, they're not.
Right. So this is a really good list to use as well too when you're saying, oh, it integrates with Schoology and I use Schoology. Well, make sure that it integrates with their rosters and your grades and your assignments, and it allows you to assign and allow students to log in. If you don't have those things, you may end up having to hand transfer assignments or upload grades, and that's not really going to end up saving you time.
Right. And
So, yeah.
we have a lot of resources as well. So if you have questions about the Schoology or Canvas integration,
Mhm.
we have a lot of information on the website, or we have a lot of our customer success team is very familiar with how those integrations work.
Yeah, and I've put the links in our resource guide for today too. So if you are using an LMS like Canvas or Schoology and you want to refer back to what we're talking about, you can absolutely go click into our getting started guide for that. So if we use Writable as sort of a gold standard example of how easy it should be to integrate your EdTech tool with some of the most popular LMSs, we're going to look at Schoology first. So tech leaders can request LTI access and install Writable inside Schoology. And you'll see that students and teachers access Writable from Schoology. They've got that. We're right inside of the Schoology App Center. So you could either log in with Schoology and import your courses from Schoology and then assign in Writable, and students find their assignments in Schoology. Or you could use Writable and add it as an external course within Schoology. So there are two ways that you could use Schoology with Writable, and then create your assignment, add your materials, choose that assignment, and select it and assign it within Schoology. So it's just a couple steps to making it a really simple and seamless integration. And then this is what it would look like. So this is what student writing looks like for a student inside Schoology. And then this is how grades are going to sync. So teachers can monitor progress and grades in Writable. Teachers can grade in Writable using our comprehensive and time-saving tools. And then those grades are going to just automatically push back to the Schoology gradebook. And then there's a similar integration process for Canvas. So this is what students and teachers who are accessing Writable from Canvas, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see their assignments right in here. They're also gonna, start on their course homepage. They're gonna, click plus assignment. They're gonna find Writable and select it. And then they're gonna go find their assignment that they want to assign within Canvas. So they are gonna be in Writable. You're gonna see your assignment right here. And students are gonna access their assignments from the Canvas assignment list. And then the same way as Schoology, teachers can use our grading tools and time-saving tools. We really have like a very simple grading stack in Writable that allows you to just flip from assignment to assignment, so you're not opening 40 tabs for for every student piece of writing. It saves comments. It has your rubric right there. It has revision aid scoring tools. It has originality checks. So you're just going to go through and you're going to grade, and then your grades are going to be pushed right back to your Canvas gradebook, and it's going to look a little bit like that. So you can actually even now share district's assignments in Canvas Commons, which is another great way to make assignment shareable. So even less work for teachers creating custom assignments. So we also have a couple other integrations. We integrate with Microsoft Teams. We integrate with HMH Ed, which is another LMS. And if you are using HMH, you can do single sign-on through Clever or ClassLink. So if there are any questions, Becky or Kara, we're here to answer them. I'm gonna give a second.
I'm not seeing any questions, Tess.
Great. So if you are curious about the resources we shared today, or you want to access these slides again, just bit.ly/Meet Writable series. Oh, you can see it looks just a little bit like this over here.
Tess, they had one question. I did see one question that comes in about PowerSchool, grades and attendance, and Schoology is part of the PowerSchool suite.
That is correct.
So that does allow the integration there. So I think that would answer that question.
Yeah, Schoology is the LMS for PowerSchool now. They were acquired about a year ago. So we've got our resources right here. You can see all of the researching tools that we mentioned. You can find all of the getting started guides for your specific LMS or Google Classroom or Docs. You can also sign up for free professional development or our next Meet Writable series. If you're curious, it's going to be on successes that teachers and schools have had inside of Writable and how you can replicate those, and the research behind Writable and why we built it the way we did. Or again, you can connect with us. We're real people. We're here to chat with you. So if you have any question whatsoever, please reach out to us or schedule a quick meeting with us. We're always happy to chat. So thank you everybody for joining.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. Happy Friday. Let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everyone.